As we know, our world can be a pretty dark place sometimes. With all the conflict and tragedy happening across the globe, it can feel like there's nothing but bad news wherever you turn. But if there's one thing that always stood the test of time and managed to endure all those years, it's hope. Hope for a better tomorrow. Hope for a brighter future. Hope for a world full of peace and happiness. And most of all, hope for an end to this cursed video platform. But seriously, it's been a rough couple of months. In any case, today we gone now, take a break from all that madness and talk about something that never fails to brighten my day. And I think if you're anything like me, then it will give you some much needed escapism too. That's right, we're talking about the Man of Steel himself, Superman. Now Superman has been a staple in pop culture since his creation back in 1938, but today, we're not going to focus on his comic book origins or his life-changing cinematic appearances. No, today we're going to discuss another important aspect of Superman's legacy, his animated history. Superman was born in the midst of the Great Depression, an era marked by economic hardship and uncertainty. This difficult period in American history had a profound impact on the early days of Superman and his portrayal in animation. When Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster created the character, they drew inspiration from the real-world struggles of everyday people, shaping Superman into a symbol of hope and resilience. In the beginning, Superman was mostly depicted through still images in the comic books. He did untruly come to life until December 1941, when the Fleischer Studios released the short film Superman, which brought the comic book hero to the screen for the very first time. Now, up until this point, animated cartoons were generally considered children's entertainment, but the creators of Superman were aiming for a more mature audience. They wanted to cater to those adults who were still young at heart and nostalgic for the simpler times before the Great Depression. And I think they accomplished that goal. This 8.5-minute cartoon doesn't have a defined plot, but instead focuses on showcasing Superman's powers and abilities. Right away, we get to witness what would become one of the most iconic elements of Superman's character, his ability to leap tall buildings in a single bound. We also get to see other abilities, such as super strength, X-ray vision, and flight. And let's take a moment to appreciate just how groundbreaking this was. To see a comic book character come to life in animation was revolutionary. Up until this point, the idea of bringing static comic book characters into motion hadn't really been considered. But the success of Superman showed that it could be done, and paved the way for other animated adaptations. Throughout the years, there have been countless animated versions of Superman, each offering its own unique take on the character. From the campy 1960s series to the modern-day Young Justice, Superman has taken on many forms in animation. Each iteration reflects the social and cultural norms of its time, making for a rich and diverse animated legacy. However, the early Fleischer cartoons are a special treat for fans. Not only do they showcase the evolution of animation techniques, but they also offer a glimpse into a bygone era of Superman. These films are like time capsules, preserving a unique moment in both Superman's history and animation as an art form. In the following years, Superman's popularity soared, and by 1948, he was featured in a whopping 17 theatrical shorts produced by both Fleischer Studios and the Famous Studios. By this time, the style of the animation had greatly evolved, incorporating more dynamic action sequences and fluid character movements. The stories followed a similar pattern, often involving Superman thwarting the plans of evil villains, such as Lex Luthor and the ever-popular Toyman. But the most notable change came in the portrayal of Superman himself. In the earlier cartoons, he was shown leaping great distances, but now he was actually flying. This shift in depiction reflected the changing perception of Superman as a superhero. Initially conceived as a champion of the common man, he gradually became a more fantastical figure with godlike powers. The animation also played a part in establishing Superman's iconic look. The red cape flowing behind him as he flies became a defining image, solidifying Superman's place as a symbol of hope and power. By the late 1940s, though, the popularity of Superman and other comic book superheroes began to wane. This decline in interest was likely due to several factors, including the outbreak of World War II and the changing interests of audiences. As the war effort took center stage, people's attention was understandably diverted to the real-life heroes fighting overseas. During World War II, Superman became heavily involved in the war effort, fighting against the Axis powers in propaganda shorts produced by the US government. These films often depicted Superman as a symbol of American strength and resilience, further cementing his status as a cultural icon. However, once the war came to an end, the public's interest in Superman and other superheroes waned. Comic book sales plummeted, and animation studios moved on to other projects. For nearly 2 decades, Superman remained largely absent from the screen. But the 1960s brought a resurgence of interest in the Man of Steel. This renewed popularity was likely driven by several factors. Firstly, the Cold War era created a climate of fear and uncertainty that made Superman's message of hope and justice even more appealing. Secondly, the introduction of Batman in the 1960s helped to reignite the public's fascination with superheroes. Finally, the medium of television provided a new platform for Superman to reach wider audiences. In 1966, The New Adventures of Superman premiered on television. This animated series ran for 2 seasons, consisting of 78 half-hour episodes. The show featured a unique art style that combined traditional hand-drawn animation with innovative techniques like the use of op art. This experimental approach aimed to capture the energy and excitement of the comic books, while also appealing to the sensibilities of a television audience. The series followed the adventures of Superman as he protected Metropolis from the threats of evil villains. Along with Superman, viewers were introduced to a colorful cast of characters, including the ever-resourceful Jimmy Olsen, the brilliant but absent-minded Professor Potter, and of course, Lex Luthor, Superman's arch-nemesis. Each episode was packed with action and adventure, as Superman raced against time to save the day. The series also explored deeper themes of good versus evil, justice, and the importance of standing up for what is right. Despite its unique style and engaging storylines, The New Adventures of Superman was cancelled after 2 seasons. This was likely due to a combination of factors, including competition from other animated shows, changes in the television industry, and perhaps a growing disconnect between the ideals of comic book superheroes and the realities of the Cold War era. Nevertheless, the series left a lasting impact on animation history and on the legacy of Superman. It showcased the potential of animation as a medium for telling complex stories, and it offered audiences a new way to experience the adventures of the Man of Steel. Today, we still look back on The New Adventures of Superman as a groundbreaking moment in animation history. It stands as a testament to the enduring legacy of Superman and the power of animation to captivate audiences of all ages. So that's it for today. We hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane and had a chance to appreciate the amazing journey of Superman in animation. If you did, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and leave a comment below, letting us know your thoughts on Superman's animated adventures. And hey, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on our latest videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.